Welcome to another edition of the Galaxy's Cup of Joe, the road edition, as the Galaxy are on the road for the quarterfinals of the U.S. Open Cup, the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup, and they'll take on, guess who? The Seattle Sounders once again tonight here in Seattle. And joining me right now is Chris Klein, and we'll get to the questions in just a moment. But right now in league play, the Galaxy are 11-1-3, 36 points, 9 points clear of Salt Lake in the Western Conference, also 9 points clear of the Columbus Crew, who lead the East. The reason why I bring that up, because we're starting to think about the Supporters' Shield as well as the 2010 campaign continues. After tonight, the Galaxy return to MLS play. That will be on Saturday on the road at the New England Revolution, and we'll have that for you on radio on AM 1150 at 4 o'clock with a pregame show. Tonight, we are LAGalaxy.com only with the audio broadcast of this one. And Chris, let's talk a little about, first of all, let's go back to Sunday's game, the 4th of July. Always a big game against Seattle, and obviously fireworks and so forth, but you guys didn't skip a beat. Landon and Edson come back, bang, the first goal they scored.
Yeah, we really didn't.
Yeah.
And I think that especially you see that our team become much more dangerous with Landon and Edson in the lineup. The way that we move off the ball, the way that we pass the ball, we become a different team when they're there, and they got us off to a good start the other night.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is this: the fact of the matter is while this is a deep team, a much deeper team that we've seen in recent years for the Galaxy, having them back all of a sudden gives you guys tremendous options off the bench.
Absolutely. I think that the way that we've structured this team all year is going to give us a lot of options, no matter if we're playing in a different competition like we are tonight or in games like we played the other night. It allows guys like Juninho freedom to move and do different things that maybe they had a greater responsibility when Landon and Edson were gone. So we're thankful to have them back, and looking forward to the second half of the season.
Well, you brought up a player that a lot of us have been kind of noticing over the last few weeks, Juninho, and maybe this was his watershed moment game. Obviously, the goal was the goal of the year to this point that he scored. But you look at this guy, and all of a sudden you're seeing, okay, here's an orchestrator in the middle of the field, which nobody in Major League Soccer has had for quite some time.
Right. I think that you can look around the league and pinpoint some players that play that role, but I think for us, and specific with a player like Juninho, a lot of times guys come in, especially young players from a different country. They need to get settled. MLS is a different league than they're used to.
Yeah.
They have to figure out the pace of the game and kind of the style that the individual team plays. And I think Juninho and Leonardo and Alex are starting to figure that out with our team, and I think you're starting to see the results on the field.
Talk a little about Chris Klein before we get to the audience questions here today. Your role now is a player that is in a support role, but you're still considered one of the leaders on this team. So from a bench standpoint, how do you lead?
I personally lead in the same fashion that I've always led. And, it's in training, being a very good example at the way to conduct yourself. It's off the field, it's in the locker room, talking to guys at different points, being able to answer questions or really just get to know guys. And we have. I think growing up, I grew up watching guys like Tab Ramos and Eric Ronaldo, Tony Miola, and all these guys, and they were kind of the pioneers of the national team in our sport. And so I used to like the way that Tab Ramos used to play for our national team.
A lot of people have said that he might be the most talented player we've ever had, although his career was cut short.
Yeah, it could have been. I think it'd be tough to argue with what Landon has done and the amount that he has. So
absolutely. Next question: what is your favorite moment personally with the national team and the Galaxy? It's from Ben.
Well, Ben, I think my favorite moment personally with the national team was probably either my first cap against Mexico in the LA Coliseum when we beat them 2-0.
That's a good score, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. With the Galaxy, I think we're still waiting for that moment. Obviously, it may have been in the final last year trying to win an MLS Cup, but there's been a lot of moments playing with this team that I enjoy, and for sure this year, collectively, has been one of the best for me.
I think it's fair, though, for a career moment, it had to be your years in Kansas City when you guys won a championship.
Yeah, with any team.
Yeah.
In any athlete, it's when you win a championship. And my favorite moment personally for me was in 2000 when I was able to win a championship with the Kansas City Wizards.
Sure, absolutely. Let's see, what is your most memorable goal with the Galaxy? Most of us will remember the one the equalizer against Pachuca in the Superliga. That's from Brownie, I believe. Brownie with the NCB.
Yeah, well, I think my most memorable goal was I'm not. I think that playing with Landon, I think that you can really appreciate what he does during games. The way that he opens things up, playing with him in the midfield, the way that you can play him different balls that you can't play other people because you know that he's going to go get them. The biggest thing for me playing with Landon is the way that he trains and the way that he relates to his teammates. I think that when you're a fan of the game, you get to watch what he does on the field during games. But as a teammate, we get to see him day in and day out in training. And what you see in the game, that intensity, that's the type of intensity that he brings to training. And I wish more young players could watch the way that Landon Donovan trains.
You know, I thought it wasn't very fair when the World Cup got underway and they were talking about Team USA, and they kind of said, well, Landon's really not a leader at this level. And I thought, well, that's not really the case. I mean, maybe Landon doesn't bark and yell and scream, but Landon leads by example.
Absolutely.
You know, that's the way I see it.
Yeah, I think we all lead in different ways, and Landon has his own style of leadership, and he's really grown into that style of leadership. More on the Galaxy, I know that he leads vocally, but he leads by getting to know other players and showing them the standard that he wants to be set on the Galaxy. And I think young players, they look at that, and old players look at that, and we go by that.
Yeah, and just go by the results of Team USA. If you had to name an MVP from the United States for this World Cup run, it was him.